A new poll suggests talks between Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff have helped boost the popularity of the Conservatives. The poll shows that it is still a tight race between the Conservatives and Liberals, but the official opposition and Green Party have actually lost support since Ignatieff met with Harper earlier this month. Now, despite the drop, if an election was to be held today, it would most likely yield another minority government for the Liberals, however. For more on this poll, we're joined now by Nik Nanos, President and CEO of Nanos Research. So, Nik, this latest poll, should the Liberals be worried in the sense that time and time again the polls were showing the momentum was there? This suggests it's dropped off slightly. No, that's not good.
Yeah, well, actually, if I were a Liberal, I'd be concerned about the Ontario numbers, because what it shows is that although the Liberal numbers have been fairly static in the province of Ontario, it seems as if in the last 3 weeks the Conservatives have picked up support at the expense of the Liberals, New Democrats and the Green Party. And we know Ontario is a key battleground. You know, for the Tories, they've got to be looking at those Quebec numbers and shaking their head and trying to figure out what can we do to try to move those numbers in Quebec, because the Tories are still way behind in that province. Right,
so regionally is really where the importance matters, right? You point out Ontario, Quebec, any other province where, things are changing?
Well, interestingly enough, in Atlantic Canada, we saw a significant bump for the New Democrats, probably a result of the most recent NDP victory provincially in Nova Scotia. So there might be a little bit of a halo effect, and I'm not sure whether that'll be sustainable at all. I'm sure the New Democrats are looking at what happened provincially in Nova Scotia and hoping that there'll be some kind of spillover. But beyond that, it's, in Quebec, the Bloc is still doing very well as the Liberals. The Conservatives are way behind. In Ontario, the Conservatives picked up. The Tories are strong in the prairies, and the Grits are good in British Columbia. You
mentioned the Bloc Québécois, and we've already sort of heard some of the lines, right, that we're assuming some of the parties are going to be using in the lead up to another possible fall election. The Bloc, the last word was, they're trying to essentially frame the new coalition as the Liberals and the Conservatives. Is that going to play well for them?
Well, the good thing about the Bloc, or we say the good news for them at least, is that they have the easiest job. They basically can criticize anyone on any position, knowing that they'll never form a government and can have a lot of flexibility strategically. I'm not sure how well that's going to work. Realistically, it's the Liberals who've picked up the most support in Quebec in the last while, and I think their attacks on Michael Ignatieff are more likely to yield fruit than trying to lump the Liberals and the Conservatives together, because the Prime Minister is so far behind in the province of Quebec. He's not really a factor at this point in time.
Okay, you mentioned ads. Are we going to see more attack ads? Is that going to work for the Conservatives, do you think?
I think so, because, in the same poll, we asked Canadians what they thought their favorable and unfavorable impressions were of Harper and Ignatieff. And it's pretty clear when we look at the Ignatieff numbers that about 50% of Canadians either have a neutral impression or no impression of Michael Ignatieff. So if you're a Conservative looking at that, you're probably thinking more attack ads with an attempt to define Michael Ignatieff before you get close to the likely or imminent election in the next year or so.
And the challenge for the Liberals is what? Do they need to build on what they've done so far and come up with some new ideas?
Yeah, well, I think the challenge for the Liberals, there are two key challenges. First of all, to define Michael Ignatieff, but second of all, to come out with a vision or a counter vision to the Conservatives. And we haven't really seen that yet. And I think the Conservatives are going to use this gap, so to speak, or this vacuum to try to step into it and define the Liberals. So for the Liberals, I think they have to get ahead of the story in regards to defining Michael Ignatieff and also starting to share their vision on the different path they would take if they happen to be trusted by the Canadians to govern.
Right, and many people do point out that, up until now the Liberals have had it quite good. They've been able to play it safe, and it's paid back in the polls, but now things are about to change is what I'm hearing from you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, the other thing I wouldn't discount is the stimulus money. Eventually it's going to start to flow, and, we're in kind of a bit of a transitory phase where Canadians haven't really seen a lot of stimulus spending. And once they do start to see it, I would expect that potentially the Conservative numbers could actually move up a little more when Canadians see stimulus money starting to be spent in ridings across the province and the country.
We'll continue to watch it. Certainly appreciate you joining us to share the findings. Pollster Nik Nanos joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.